Good evening. Welcome to Employment Law Today. I'm your host, Eric Sauver. I'm an employment law and business law attorney, and I host this weekly show, Employment Law Today, right here on Talk Radio NYC, every Tuesday evening at 5 p.m., where we have guests who discuss business and employment-related issues that many companies are facing, particularly in light of the pandemic. And I will preface the show by saying I'm a bit under the weather, got a bit of a cold, laryngitis, a little achy, but they say the show must go on, right? In show business, same thing, and I think in live talk radio. So with that, I just want to welcome our guest tonight. Our guest is Vikram Rajan, co-founder, excuse me, of videosocials.net and phoneblogger.net. Vic, welcome to the show. It's great to have you back.
Thank you, Eric. Good to be back.
Excellent. Yeah. So I think you were on the show about 13 months ago, roughly. And some things have changed. Some things have been a little the same, whether you think that's good or bad, but in terms of the pandemic. But let me just also, Vic, introduce our topic for the evening. And again, folks, bear with me, a little bit of a cold here, but I will say that our topic tonight is basically we're talking about video marketing during COVID-19, right? The trends and the patterns. And what I think many of us are finding is that with the COVID-19 pandemic rolling along and on, many business owners have been struggling with this loss of face time in front of their clients and their prospective clients and customers. Now, granted, things have changed since the last time that Vic was on my show in October of 2020 with the vaccine and the trend rates going down of the COVID pandemic. We are finding that face-to-face meetings are coming back to some extent as our networking events, but it's still less frequent than it was and often more sparsely attended. So the dilemma we face remains of how do you stay on top of mind and stay relevant with your clients and your colleagues. And if that dilemma sounds familiar to you, then I think you want to hear from our guest tonight. As I mentioned, our guest is Vikram Rajan, who's the co-founder of Video Socials. And we're going to discuss tonight how businesses can benefit now more than ever from video marketing. We'll also explain some additional benefits that come from creating video content. And with that, I believe a more fitting, proper introduction of Vic is necessary. He's quite an impressive guy, so I'm going to go through some of his bio. Vik Rajan, co-founder of videosocials.net and phoneblogger.net, has presented on behalf of every major bar association in the greater New York City area. His marketing column premiered in the AICPA's CPA Insider publication in the fall of 2009 and became the most popular column in July of 2010. Vikram, Vic as he's known by colleagues, clients, and friends, has presented in front of many networking groups and organizations as well. His 2008 book, 365 Marketing Thumb Rules, Daily Reminders for Rainmakers, has received praise from over 15 organizational leaders within the legal, accounting, and financial services, and real estate professionals as well. And in 2005, Vic was named as a top 40 under 40 rising star by Long Island Business News. And since then, Vic, in my opinion, has lived up to that prediction. So,
And
Vic,
since then have exceeded 40, so no longer eligible.
I didn't want to make the joke, but I think you did. I was going to say, so now now that you're 41,
Yeah.
does that still apply?
Well, I guess it's falling. That's great. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure.
And sorry for putting your throat through all that.
That's okay. I'm an attorney, so it's like par for the course. I've been trying to keep it light today, but we're here and we're gonna get through the show, and I'm sure you have a lot to say, so I give you a chance to pause. But Vic, I just want to maybe take us through like a brief history rather of video marketing pre-COVID-19. Like, what did it look like? When did it really start to take off, in your opinion?
Yeah, it depends on which milestone you want to think about. So I would say video marketing started becoming mainstream all the way back in 2006. That's when Google bought YouTube for, I think it was $1.1 billion. Who's splitting hundreds of thousands of dollars there. It's over $1 billion. And YouTube wasn't making any money back then. They didn't really have a business model. It was just like, hey, upload video and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was that, I think, was a turning point. But it took another 10 years, 2016, when Facebook announced that they were going mobile first and video first. And we see that now, right? So now when you scroll Facebook, every other post is a video post. Facebook Live is part of their algorithm, of course, right? And that's prioritized. LinkedIn followed suit the following year. So 2017, LinkedIn's algorithm now prioritizes video. What does that mean? Well, all things being equal, you post a link to your blog, your written article, versus you upload a video to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to push up that video. And now we see the effect, right? Anecdotally, you scroll LinkedIn and every other post is a video post. But if we pause and think, how many of our colleagues are regularly posting videos on LinkedIn? It's not that many. I mean, it's not half of our colleagues, and sure, not half of our colleagues are even active on LinkedIn, but even with the 80-20 rule and all that stuff, the people who are active, it's still not like half of them are posting videos. It's the algorithm that is skewing that so that basically either you join in the game of posting videos or you get left behind more and more. And so COVID has just accelerated that. What was kind of this market swell of video and video marketing, video posting, and all that happening since, let's say, 2016, 2017, come 2020, the groundswell became a tsunami, to extend the analogy and metaphor. So from now, probably we're kind of all sick and tired of only having to be or only having Zoom or other web conferences as as our main day. And we look forward to some degree being face to face with people in real life. But I think as, to kind of say where we are now, like you mentioned, Eric, with the vaccine and with people coming back in person, I think people will start appreciating the power, the effectiveness, the convenience of being on video, either in real time like this, or having videos posted and shared. And videos, essentially, we know this is a proxy of us being in person. And so from that aspect, it's the next best thing to being in person. Sometimes the only thing we have if there's a contagious virus happening.
Sure.
But I think from, hopefully that will pass in coming months. We've been saying that for months now, a couple of years now. But I do believe we are coming out of this tunnel. And let's say next summer, we will be at the new normal that we were promised this past summer. And so from then on, we really can appreciate the scalability of not only video conferences in terms of efficiency of travel time and all that stuff, but almost kind of more importantly is getting the videos recorded, posted, and then shared by others. Because when someone shares your video, they're essentially introducing you to their connections, referring you, edifying you, promoting you beyond your busy schedule, which I think is tremendous once we start thinking about how profound it is. It's become such a normal place for a lot of us that we kind of forget that that's really cool, because if it weren't for video posts on social media, everything is real time and everything is time. And there's nothing more valuable than our time. And, it's where we spend it with clients, with family, etc. And if that time can be multiplied and scaled, to use those kind of hyperbolic words, well, that's literally what's happening in terms of video marketing. So from 2006 to 2016 to 2020, and now going beyond, video conferencing and video marketing, video posting is not going away as we get out of COVID. If anything, it's kind of here to stay. We know the hybrid model is going to be here when it comes to the workplace, when it comes to networking meetings, when it comes to marketing. Video is now integrated into our life. We have the TikTok generation that doesn't know anything other than always being on video. But for those of us who no longer can win a 40 under 40 award, we know that we've adapted, or we were just hermits for the past 18, 19 months. So from that aspect, it's become part of our life. And unless you are at the denouement of your career where you have another 5 years and the sunset's there, this is the time. Like now more than ever, it's been the time. The future is now and all that stuff. where video, not only conferencing, but even more importantly, getting video recorded and getting it out there so that it promotes you and edifies you and scales your networking is even more important. Because if you don't, you're going to be seen as being left behind, if not literally
Yeah.
left behind.
Yeah, I think you raised a few good points there, Vic. I think, well, first off, talking about the origins of video marketing when you saw it becoming big, and it made me think back to my own experience. And it seems like with anything, whether it's, going back to late 90s, you have to have a website, right?
Right.
Or the mid, say, 2003, 4, 5, 6, you should have a blog or a newsletter. My impression seems to be that with these type of tools, marketing tools, that when they're first introduced, like people don't touch on yet because it's kind of new. There's some technology involved, it's maybe a little scary. Maybe they think, well, this is not what we professionals do. But then over time, everyone starts to use it. It becomes normalized. It becomes like legitimized, like popular. So people will post on, for example, Twitter, even a law firm. Whereas in 2007, a law firm might think that's not appropriate to do. So I like how you talked about like things becoming, normalized.
Normalized, for lack of a better word. I mean, we literally are seeing that happening with Instagram, where you have attorneys of different specific practice areas,
Sure.
gravitating to Instagram because they are very much a B2C practice. They're an immigration lawyer or a matrimonial attorney or someone where they want to reach a more general public in Instagram and a younger population. Instagram becomes great, but even Instagram is aging out. Facebook buying Instagram kind of made it immediately uncool to certain demographics. And so then they immediately gravitated to TikTok. And I'm sure, while I'm not a very avid TikTok user, I am sure there are attorneys and other professionals who use TikTok for a professional purpose, not only to socialize, but they are in one way or another somehow cleverly or in an entertaining way, or maybe in a boring professional video blog way, using TikTok, although probably I would hope that they do it in a more clever, entertaining way. And so I think your timeline is apt, where at one point it probably was very novel, if not seen as very self-promotional and almost too salesy to have a website, and then it became normalized. Likewise, a blog, you mentioned video blogging is going through that right now, where in the beginning, all of these marketing tools, either in the beginning seems too self-promotional, maybe unbecoming of a professional, but nonetheless novel, and as a way for you to stand out from the crowd, for those who dare to stand out from the crowd and want to be known as being different and novel and on the cutting edge and an early adapter and all that stuff. But then, as you mentioned, it goes through a normalization and a mainstreaming, where it goes from a matter of standing out to fitting in, where it becomes where when you don't have the website, you don't have the blog, the video channel, etc., you're no longer standing out. It's a matter of fitting in and thus being left behind if you don't have it. So from that aspect, it's funny to see that happen. We know it is literally happening with video marketing. I think it's still at the stage of standing out because, as I mentioned, statistically, most attorneys, most professionals don't have a video channel on YouTube. It is not a normal or expected thing for a consumer of law services or any kind of professional services, where it's like, website's there, right? It's like, what do you mean you don't have a website? Like, that almost seems scary. Do you really want to engage a professional who isn't legit enough to have a website? It's like, it's like, can I really learn about this guy? Who am I engaging with? I don't know if YouTube channel is really at that point, right? It's not like we're expecting you to have a YouTube channel, but if you do, it's kind of, hey, that's kind of cool. Let me learn about her and really get to know her practice, get to know her excellence, get to know how much she really cares and is passionate about helping others. And so the know, like, and trust factor is accelerated by, let's say, a YouTube channel or a video blog on your website, literally because video is a proxy of talking to you. And we're able to not only learn from you the way we could read an article, but, they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Video is worth 1,000,000 words or whatever, where we're able to read between the lines and see the tone and passion. And there's that saying that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that comes through much more easily on video, just the way it does in person. But you get that opportunity of being rehearsed and practiced and not have to be at the first take the way being in person is. You don't have a do-over doesn't get a second chance to make a first impression, so to speak. But with video, you do, because you can just delete it and re-record. So from that aspect, I think you're spot on, Eric, that we are going through that right now, the normalization, the mainstreaming of video blogging and the related aspects of video marketing.
Yeah. Vic, I think there's some great nuggets there for our audience to chew on for a little bit. We're going to take our first commercial break. Folks, you're listening to and watching Employment Law Today. I'm your host, Eric Sauver, from the law office Eric M. Sauver, and I'm here today with Vikram Rajan from videosocials.net. We're going to come back and talk more about the benefits of video marketing, how it benefits you, as Vic pointed out, in terms of your time factor, people promoting you. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at a new time on Thursday, 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you on edge? Hey, we live in challenging, edgy times, so let's lean in. I'm Sandra Bargman, the host of The Edge of Every Day, which airs each Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc. Tune in live with me and my friends and colleagues as we share stories and perspectives about pushing boundaries and exploring our rough edges. That's The Edge of Every Day on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back to Employment Law Today. I'm here tonight with Vikram Rajan. For those joining us late, two interesting points to note. One, got a little bit of laryngitis going on there, but we're pushing through it. And two, I'm here tonight with Vikram Rajan. Vik and I are discussing video marketing, its benefits, the trends we see in video marketing for businesses during these times. And, Vik, you've been gave us some great points so far. I wanted to sort of pivot back to 2 points, if I may, that you made. You made a point earlier about how I heard you say that now video marketing seems more of a choice. I'm paraphrasing, that we have some more like in-person options, so that we can video market. We can make YouTube videos, and we can also Zoom with people, but we can also choose to some extent in some areas to be more in person. And I remember how when you were on the show like about 13 months ago, that was much less the scenario, and people sort of, it was like, this isn't a fringe benefit, this isn't an option, a bonus, this is like the only means you have, right, of networking, meeting clients, getting your name out there. So I'm wondering, has that dynamic, that change, in your opinion, has that changed people's opinions or attitudes about video marketing for their business?
I think so, and I think it will be more so as meeting in person becomes more prevalent. I think we're in that transition phase where I think we all still feel a little awkward in person, even the social norms of do we shake hands and how close are we going to be? Do we give each other kind of that professional acquaintance hug, so to speak? Like, what do we do in person? So I think as we overcome those social awkwardness, and I think that will happen more and more, right? But we're heading into like the holiday season, so we're going to be doing that more and more with extended relatives and et cetera. So I think after we come on, I think after January, and maybe at that point we have to kind of get through this awkward phase.
Yeah.
And then where it's ironically normalized to be in person, it will feel like more of a choice. And I think at that point, when it is feeling like more of a choice, that the relief and the experience and the advantages of video marketing will prevail and kind of show itself. What I mean is, as you know, part of my company, we started very much focused on written articles because at that time, about 10 years ago, written blogs from a search engine standpoint and social media standpoint was kind of all we got. Video was barely there in the mainstream, even though YouTube was kind of percolating. YouTube was kind of what TikTok is today. It was very social, very entertaining, very youth. And it wasn't really seen or used in a video blog professional education manner. And so from that written article stage, we now offer these video blogging services where our members come together in these video blogging clubs and video blogging together, fun and done. And what we enjoy about video blogging is the irony of how easy it is to go back into the written form. Once you have the video, you have the audio, which can turn into podcasts like this, and then you can transcribe it into a written article. So you can take a 3-minute nugget of knowledge video blog and kind of be at the top of the food chain, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, or a waterfall effect, where it cascades back into not only an audio nugget, but then even more powerfully for search engines, a written article. And a lot of people still prefer reading and skimming and skipping around and copying and pasting and quoting you in an email. It's a heck of a lot easier to do all that stuff in the written form than it is on video. And while video, from an algorithm standpoint, and Google owning YouTube, so Google SEO advantages that are there with video blogging, there are still great advantages to the written form. But it's kind of two for the price of one. You get the written form much more easily, especially for those of us where it might be difficult to stare at a blank white screen of Word or Google Docs. And it's almost like writer's block. It's like, where do we begin? But we're unencumbered by the issues of grammar while we're talking. You can just kind of talk it out, which is the premise of Phone Blogger. It's like, just talk to your editor the way you would talk to your client or colleague, and then we'll shape it up into a written article. And now transcription really wasn't there so well 10 years ago. Now it's stuff like Alexa and Google and all that stuff. We're heading into the world of AI and stuff like that, where it's understanding us really well, practically understanding our tone and intent. So we can just talk and have a computer transcribe us into the written word, and it be about 90%, 95% accurate. We provide captions on our videos, and we use Alexa's engine. And I'm always kind of spooked by how accurate it is. It learns names. It knows common names. I mean, Vikram is a very common name outside of the U.S., as you can imagine, with India's billion people. I'm sure there are a couple of billion people named Vikram. So from that aspect, it knows my name, which is all feels very nice. But it knows common names. So you can just say your name. It knows common last names. So it's from my point is, once you feel you have the choice of video, because you're able to cascade lots of different forms of content out of it, it is great for that busy professional. It's great for that busy professional who doesn't have a lot of time to go from one networking event to another, because you can network beyond your busy schedule. And so from all that aspect, I think the choice will feel more real in coming months, but the choice is there, and it's no longer, we're not handcuffed to Zoom or web conferences as much as maybe we think we are.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, Vic. I think it really points us up to the human psyche and how we are about things. If somebody tells another person, like, you must eat this chocolate cake, 3 times a week for dessert, even if they love chocolate, if it's like, I don't want to hear anything about it, you could eat this chocolate cake on Monday nights, Friday nights, and maybe Sunday. People will rebel, and I don't want to eat that. No, don't tell me what to do. But if it's offered, and there are other options too, fruit, strawberries, another flavors, that person might say, you know what, this chocolate cake is a nice dessert. It's my choice. I think you mentioned a few things there, excuse me, just about the people who are doing these videos, that you get more bang for your buck. I mean, because you can take a video, and I remember doing a video webinar with my colleague Simone Sloan, who's been on the show a couple of times before, and we did one on diversity and inclusion and labor and employment law for how that's changing during COVID. And from that webinar presentation, which was a video on Zoom, to a bar association, we were then able to take that content and write it into an article, right, from the transcription, and then of course you take clips and put them on websites. So I think people out there, and you mentioned a lot about, you talked about professional service providers. I think that can be a great benefit. I wonder if just sort of the B2C, right, the businesses that have even say like a restaurant or a certain like a hospitality industry entity, I imagine can reach their clientele through an in-person video marketing. Would that be fair to say?
Of course, right. I mean, every social media at this point prioritizes video. I mean, you have ones that are very much video centric, like TikTok and Instagram, Instagram being originally photos, but Facebook, obviously, as I mentioned, 2016, pivoted to really prioritizing. They declared that they were going to be prioritizing video, though much earlier they were already prioritizing video. And likewise, LinkedIn, where they were already very video centric, but then declared that this is where they were going to go. And it was a kind of a bombshell announcement, so to speak, very much like Zuckerberg talking about the metaverse and kind of the vision of Facebook of where he sees us being and interacting. Was his vision back in 2016 about video. And I'll be honest, back then we were very much in the midst of Phone Blogger. And it luckily didn't really affect our clients too much. Our clients are in the professional services, lawyers, accountants, coaches. And so LinkedIn is much more their crowd. And so, all right, we're like, all right, they're Facebook going video centric. It didn't really bother us so much until the following year when LinkedIn, as they often do, followed suit with Facebook. And then once they started prioritizing video, we were like, oh no, we got to really pull our type of people into the world of video blogging. And so, right or wrong, and people have all sorts of opinions about Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and all that. And so all those kind of issues aside, he was able to really see where the internet was going, and to some extent, not only was he a visionary, but he also kind of manifested that to some extent. And so, we'll see where the metaverse goes, but nonetheless, video has become part of our world. And it's so to talk about, is it a way for us to target as businesses to our consumers and customers, let alone our professional clientele? Yeah, of course it is. I mean, it's as soon as you're able to, whatever you can do in person, you can now do on video. To some extent can be done much more efficiently, even with like clickable links and keep linking and things of that nature, where you can't really do that in person, let alone, again, the multiplier effect, the scalability, where people can share you over and over again, and you're creating a knowledge library that can live beyond your time.
That's a good point, Vic. I think with video marketing, with video presentations, with recording short or longer videos, even this show, which is both a live radio audio broadcast and a video version as well, it's that if you didn't have video, let's say we had this discussion, 40 years ago, and somebody wanted the level of exposure promotion, let's say they did a workshop, I mean, they could take that workshop and do it over and over again for every, say, client base, every organization, right? They could do it on Tuesday, have to do it again on Friday next month. But with a video recording, video marketing, you get your content out there, whether it's a video blog, right, or a small sort of commercial for your business or some kind of thing you do, and then people hear it. You can post it in LinkedIn, post it in Facebook, you post it on Twitter. You have you mentioned colleague sharing, which I think is great because it gives you more legitimacy. Your colleagues are sort of affirming, right, your work, your worth, and they respect you. And also, I think what I see from what I've heard you say is that people can know, like, and trust you more when they can actually see you, hear your voice, provided you don't have like a bad cold and like your laryngitis like a frog sounding, but usually they can see you, get a sense of your personality. So really good food for thought. We have a commercial break coming up now, Vic, but when we come back, I want to ask you a little more about, you talked about Phone Blogger and Video Social. So maybe you can explain to our audience, like, hey, what are your two companies and what you do? So, well, folks, we'll take a commercial break right now. Stay tuned after the break for Employment Law Today. I'm your host, Eric Sauver, here tonight with Vikram Rajan of videosocials.net. We're going to talk all about that and ways to help your business. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Howdy, I am Joseph
Clint McElroy, host of the new podcast, Gateway to the Smokies. It airs on talkradio.nyc every Tuesday night from 6 p.m. to 7. Every episode is dedicated to memorable experiences in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and surrounding areas. This show features experts and locals who will expound upon the richness of culture, history, and adventure that awaits you in the Smokies. Tune in every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7 on talkradio.nyc.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a small business trying to navigate the COVID-19 related employment laws? Hello, I'm Eric Sauver, employment law business law attorney and host of the new radio show, Employment Law Today. On my show, we'll have guests to discuss the common employment law challenges business owners are facing during these trying times. Tune in on Tuesday evenings from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Employment Law Today. I'm your host, Eric Sauver, employment law business law attorney, and here tonight with my colleague and friend, Vik Rajan of videosocials.net, also of phoneblogger.net. So Vik, we've been talking tonight quite a bit about the benefits of video marketing, about the trends we've seen, just it's becoming more mainstream, more acceptable, the way you stand out in a positive light when you have a video marketing campaign, so you stand out, but not in a weird way of like, hey, why is this person, professional CPA making a video? I wanted to talk a little bit more about your services. You mentioned phoneblogger.net a couple of times. You mentioned video socials. Can you tell us a little bit about how your companies use video and in your marketing?
Sure. Yeah, as you've mentioned, I mentioned, our clientele ranges around the professional services world. So attorneys, accountants, of course, financial advisors, coaches, consultants, and we all have a very similar way of doing business. We all get our clients predominantly through word of mouth referrals. And it's really by way of these referrals, by word of mouth, that people get to know us and then eventually engage with us. Mm-hmm. And so from that aspect, we always have to figure out what can we do in the world of networking and social media and content to get us out there more effectively, more efficiently. Yep. And as I mentioned, back 10 years ago, the world of traditional blogging, written blogging, was really kind of at the forefront of the internet from a search engine standpoint and even social media. Mm-hmm. And so our type of clients are really busy. They're busy with clients. They've got family obligations. They want to be able to sleep sometimes. And so time is of the essence. So we said, well, what if we just brainstorm topics with our clients and then interview them over the telephone? And if they can talk about it in about a couple of minutes, well, we can audio record it and transcribe it and then edit it into a professional written article, but really preserve our clients' words, their expertise, their personality even more so. And that's really how phone blogging, that concept, and thus phone blogger, the service, came about. So it's the concept of if you can say it in 5 minutes, they can read it in 5 minutes and hopefully even shorter. And so we have staff that run that and clients around the country that produce multiple articles every month, and we handle everything. So it's that 5-minute phone call and everything else is done for them, from posting on their website, their email newsletter, their social media, all that stuff. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we've been kind of plodding along and growing well and producing those great marketing results for our clients. And then Facebook and LinkedIn up and change their algorithm. and they started prioritizing video. And said, all right, well, we got to change with the times. So we went to our clients and said, hey, great, do you want to be on video? And like, none of them wanted to be on video. This was pre-COVID, but none of them really knew what Zoom was. Maybe they tried working with a videographer. It's pretty expensive, but nevertheless, it's a very harrowing experience to know that you're going to be recorded, and it feels a lot more pressure than just talking over the phone or talking in person. The irony, of course, is that, not that I really want to like scare people in the day-to-day life, talking in person is way more important and vital and overwhelming potentially, because you don't have an opportunity of stopping and redoing and deleting and take 2, take 3. Yeah. This is it. We're having a conversation. And so I don't want to get people all tongue twisted in real life, but I don't want them all tongue twisted on video either. And yet I would bring up the topic in the beginning, I remember, of 2018, and like none of our clients took action. Like we would refer them to videographers, folks that we know in common, and none of them took action. And by about the fall, around this time of 2018, I started talking to my business partner, Mark, and he was the president of the largest Toastmasters chapter in Maui, Hawaii, where he had his start in his career right after the Coast Guard. And I said, hey, Mark, what if we kind of did like a Toastmasters on Zoom? And back then, Toastmasters wasn't on Zoom. There's no need to be. Now it is. But instead of it being like a Toastmasters, and it's not going to be like a networking event or networking group, but similar to a networking group, we can kind of go around the figurative table. But instead of each person kind of delivering their elevator pitch per se, instead they could do what they do on a phone blogger call. They could just talk about a topic for 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll just video record it. We'll just use Zoom. And once we video recorded, then once we got them on video, much like once we got them recorded on audio, we can handle the rest. We can edit it. We can add the captions and the headline and the end screen with a call to action, or the professional disclaimers that, let's say, attorneys need or other financial advisors need and all that. We can handle all that on the back end. The stuff that we can't do for our client is them talking. It's their subject matter expertise. It's their personal brand. And so we started these things called these groups, and we needed a name. So we said, well, why don't we call it a video blogging club? And then we kind of coined that phrase. And now we host 1 or 2, 3 on Fridays of these video blogging clubs with a handful of professionals, about 5 to 7 professionals at a time. It's 45 minutes, so it's really quick. Everyone comes prepared with 2 or 3 bullet points on a Post-it note, and it's a different topic each time. Maybe they're practicing a topic by chance, they're repeating it, but by and large, it's one take, it's easy. It's like they're answering a frequently asked question, something that they've been talking about. You said, Eric, prior to video, you would have to kind of repeat yourself on and on and on. Well, now you have frequently asked questions, just record it once, and now you have that content. And so they would come on to Zoom, and it feels like any other group Zoom meeting. And when it's your turn, you just, we count you down, you get prepared, you get yourself settled, much like how we're doing this video podcast, where you kind of have to center yourself and know that you are going to be professional. You're not completely winging it. You have 2 or 3 bullet points on a Post-it note next to your webcam. And you get a video recorded, and then you get one of your peers to give you some feedback of what did you do well, what was memorable, what we could have done differently in terms of a presentation perspective. And then now our members are giving each other questions and topics of, hey, maybe next time you can take that second point you made and make that a whole topic, because you kind of rushed over that second point and it was kind of lost. And as our members get to know each other on a week-to-week basis, the feedback becomes really candid. And what's really cool is not only getting the video practiced and recorded, we then have automation software that takes care of everything. So in the beginning, we did everything manually, like editing the videos and all that. But now we're automation partners with YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and WordPress. So you just push the right button and the videos get posted for you with captions and all that. But then our members get to know each other well enough. And while we're not really a networking group, it's kind of cool to see you record a video in front of me. And then the next day I see you posting it on LinkedIn, and I was in the room when it happened. I remember you recording that video. Maybe I even gave you a question and you answered that as a video blog topic. So kind of answered my question. And so we become part of each other's marketing in that sense. And so our members constantly click like and share on each other's videos. And that, of course, multiplies the reach of each other's videos. So it's really cool that, when you post a video on LinkedIn, it gets to your couple of hundred, couple of thousand connections. But the real secret of social media is how many people are sharing you. Because that's the multiplier effect, right? That's something you can't really do yourself. You need other people. And that social construct of video socials just kind of makes that part of the system. It's part of the practice. It's what we all want to do for each other. I want to share you. And there's a little bit of quid pro quo in hope of, I scratch your back, you scratch mine, right? I share you, you'll share me. And it is the golden rule, and lead by example. The more you share others, more others will share you. And so we've really gamified the process of video blogging. So now our members win points whenever they share others and whenever they meet with other members, and those points are redeemable for the captioning. So, it's all kind of part of the system that by doing the marketing habits that we're supposed to be doing, everything else ends up happening as a domino effect. So it's a really fun process where our members really get to enjoy each other's company while recording some serious topics, because these are, at the end of the day, professionals that do real serious work, much like yourself, Eric. These are topics of workplace discrimination or matrimonial issues or death and taxes. And so these aren't fun, light type topics. This is not a TikTok dance video. These are nuggets of knowledge by subject matter experts, which is kind of cool because you get that side benefit of not only getting to know each other, but really substantively learning, because you're kind of attending a 45-minute seminar in 3-minute chunks. So it's like going to a TED conference every time you go to a video social. So you end up learning from each other's expertise, let alone improving each other's presentation style, and then of course getting shared. So obviously, I enjoy the process, but the original premise was quite simple. It was that very easy, and then our members really made it that much more fantastic. And so it's really cool where we have over 100 members across the country, and it's a really fun process. So and you've been on Video Social. I welcome anyone to come as a guest and kind of see how it is, get a video recorded. Even if you don't use it, it's great practice, but hopefully you can use Brander, our automation system, to get it posted on your LinkedIn profile, or use it to as a Facebook Live video, even though it's pre-recorded. All that functionality and bells and whistles are part of our software, but it's the community that really makes it special.
It's interesting, Vic. Yeah, I think you kind of got something there in terms of having a structure with other people involved, having like a peer-based structure. Because I think, as you said earlier, if you said you were telling your clients, like, hey, making video marketing is a great idea, it'll benefit your business, and people say, sure. And then, but like most advice, like if there's no accountability partner, if there's no, people that do it with you, it can feel overwhelming, a bit stressful. Maybe people just sort of shelve it. Whereas if you from my knowledge of your company, Video Socials, if you have a Friday group to be on, right, you're going to lock in and maybe pick a question or a topic, write out a few things about it, right, practice it once, and then go onto Video Socials. As opposed to sort of putting it just on your to-do list where, you're the only one who's accountable to your to-do list, perhaps in those areas. It's not a client deadline. And then, of course, easier to sort of brush to the side, right? Because I want to do this work for a client, or I have to do this other, So I think it's an interesting point, that and the whole feedback component. We have to take another a commercial break. So I'll just note for people watching and listening tonight, you are watching Employment Law Today, which you probably knew by now, but my guest tonight is Vik Rajan, co-founder of videosocials.net, talking about video marketing in the time of COVID. When we come back, we'll talk more with Vik about this topic, so everyone stay tuned. We'll be back very shortly.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the Nonprofit Sector Connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Do you feel uninformed about menopause and how it impacts on your life? Hi, I'm Pat Duckworth, women's health strategist and host of the Hot Women Rock radio show, empowering women leaders at menopause. Join me every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. UK time on talkradio.nyc for interviews with inspirational women who will share their top tips to rock your world.
Do you run or are ready to open your own business? Hi, I'm Jeremiah Fox. I've been operating and opening small business for the last 25 years, and I'm the host of the new show, The Entrepreneurial Web. Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern Time for insights and stories on the nuances of running small business right here on Fridays at noon, talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Employment Law Today. I'm your somewhat hoarse host, Eric Sauver, employment law, business law attorney for companies and business owners, here tonight with another colleague and professional service provider, Vik Rajan, co-founder of videosocials.net, and we're talking about benefits and perks of video marketing, especially now during COVID and even post-COVID, hopefully. So Vik, time flies. We're having fun. We've got a good 10, 11 minutes thereabouts, and wanted to ask you perhaps a last question about, say, any additional trends that you might see happening. Let's say, take us into the future as hopefully COVID recedes into the backdrop, or at least in terms of not restrictions and lockdowns. Where would you see, for example, video socials, like 3 years from now, let's say?
Well, I don't know about 3 years from now. I'll be honest, Eric. So last week, you probably did not take the hour and a half of your busy life to watch Mark Zuckerberg wax on about his vision of the metaverse. But I'm somewhat professionally obliged to do so. I'm also interested in that stuff. I'm a geek from way back when. So I dreamed about VR, virtual reality, and augmented reality, and mixed reality, and all that stuff. This is stuff I've been wanting for ages now. So for me to see that stuff is on the precipice, and that stuff can actually happen, say, in my lifetime, is I think a hyperbole. I think it's literally coming. I mean, he's wanting people to do it now. He needs early adapters now in the multiverse, but that it will be normalized by, let's say, by the time our young kids grow up, and they will be working in the multiverse. That's say 20 years from now. 3 years from now, I think it will become more and more where we have avatars and things like that, and it may be more. I don't know if you remember Second Life, but Second Life was a social network. That was right around the time of MySpace and Friendster. And Second Life was very much this metaverse concept. It was a graphical user interface. You were represented by an avatar, by an animated thing that can either be realistic and lifelike, or can be cartoonish, like an animal figure, etc. And that's essentially the revisioning of that is what Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook is essentially proposing to us all. And right now it sounds far-fetched, and it sounds like something that we would never do. But, so is working on Zoom all day. So from that aspect, most likely we will be, and it will be literally us. It probably will be our children. And in 3 years from now, I can see very much, will it be that we are in the world of avatars and things like that? To some extent, what will most likely happen, Eric, is that in 3 years from now, to go into that model of you stand out or you fit in or you're left behind, we will be at the point of sort of obligation where you have at least 1 or 2 videos representing you. And if you don't have at least 1 or 2 videos on your website as at least a proxy so that I can kind of window shop literally, figuratively, of Microsoft Windows, and get to know you through that mechanism, well, I'm going to move on to the next person, because it's already sort of like that, where if I get referred to 3 attorneys, well, the person I'm able to get to know the easiest without having to actually speak with you is probably the person I'm going to choose. There are other factors involved, but all things being equal, very often, if I can get to know you and get to know your practice and get to know the kind of work that you do without having to oblige myself either with a paid or even a free consultation, which feels like I'm now socially obligated to engage with you, I can now, in my pajamas, get to know you. That's probably the route I'm going to take. And that's already now in 2021 going to 3 years from now, that's just going to be the way it is. And so if you have no video on your website 3 years from now, it's going to be like having no website at all, at least 10 years ago. And so I can see that being more so. I can see us tapping into other populations, people who are creating video content in other ways, much like yourself. We are in the midst of creating services for those who are involved in the podcasting world and video podcasting world and video shows and live streamers, because those of us who have video podcasts and do live streams and create content know the benefits of creating short form content as well. Because there is a good number of us who are podcast junkies like myself who listen to half-hour, 1-hour programs, but there's a whole lot more who don't have the time for it or won't invest the time into a long-form content unless they kind of got a teaser or an infomercial highlight version first. And so a video blog, a 2 to 3 minute teaser about your long-form content, be it that long-form white paper, long article, or a podcast or other type of live stream, those nuggets of knowledge help bring traffic and bring an audience to your show, your podcast, your be it audio or video live stream, etc. So we're in that world now already. Many of our members, much like you heard a commercial by Tommy Galisa, who has a podcast and a video show with Talk Radio. He's a raving fan of video social. So if you ever go to his profile and see his video blogs or even see teasers about his show, that's all created in his video blogging club. And so like that, we have many members who have their own video podcasts and shows and live streams, etc. And they use video socials as a way of creating buzz and traffic and generate nuggets of knowledge that support that longer form content that they do with guests, etc. And so I can see it being part of the marketing mix where video blogging is not an end to itself. It's a means to an end. It's a means to word of mouth referrals. Sure. And so if you know you're going to be building your practice and growing your firm based on word of mouth referrals, well, video blogging is going to be part of it. Or is going to be part of your competitors, so you may as well make it part of it. And you may as well have fun doing it, because video socials is ultimately a very fun community where people get to know each other. And so I see that's the trajectory of not only where we're taking video socials, but that's the way, we're here not to, really profess and proselytize where we think the world is going. It's for us to really provide a bridge to the everyday professional to make this kind of stuff not only easy, but hopefully even fun to do. Because ultimately, social media should be social. It should be fun, even if it's in a professional landscape like LinkedIn. So thank you for the question, and hopefully that gives you some insight of where we're taking video socials and where people can really benefit from video blogging.
Sure thing. Yeah, Vic, I think that what I'm hearing too is that a lot of these different services can be very complementary. So you mentioned one of my colleagues on the station, Tommy Demisa, has a show weekly on Talk Radio NYC, 2 shows in fact, I believe, and how you can have a show, for example, let's say in this forum, it's benefits of a weekly audience, a tune-in listening, wide reach, etc. And yet he's also in video socials where he can create certain snippets and information. Also love the idea about 3 years from now, and the reason I mentioned is because we started the show, it came full circle, talking about how things were 3, 5, 10 years ago, and the way video became the norm. So I'm curious to hear the next. And speaking of the show coming full circle, we are at the end of the show. I'm glad my voice held out the best that it could. Vic, it's been terrific having you on. I'm going to give you a couple minutes just to share about, let's say, how people can reach you, your website. Do you have any, for example, articles coming out, videos coming out? Of course, I should ask you. And so the floor is yours.
Yeah, of course, right. So every Friday at 1 p.m., I host my own video podcast called LinkedIn for Lawyers, where I interview attorneys. And the tagline is True Stories of Client Acquisition Told by Attorneys. So if you're a lawyer and you're wondering if LinkedIn works, well, you can actually meet lawyers who are getting clients from LinkedIn and how they did it. So they share in a half-hour program. To get to know me or get a hold of me, you can go to videosocials.net. In the bottom right-hand corner, there'll be a pop-up chat box. It's not a bot, it's not a robot. It is. It goes straight to my cell phone, so you can literally chat. It's on mute for now, Eric. But I'm constantly chatting with people there. Top right corner of videosocials.net, you can be a guest on a video blogging club and get a video recorded and meet our members and kind of see how video blogging can fit into your overall marketing and referrals. I think you're on mute, Eric.
Oh, I think I am. I was coughing and muted myself. Yeah, I was just saying, excellent, Vic. Really glad that you can give our listeners something to take away, in terms of how to contact you and whatnot. Yeah, I must say it's been great having you on the show. Just like hearing about, the service you provide and just the trends in video marketing. I think when people have more information and they have more of a history and context, it may make something seem less scary to try. And I know that with employment law, sometimes getting clients acclimated to the recent changes in the law takes repetition, it takes introduction to different concepts. So just want to let people know, we're about 30 seconds out. This is an episode of Employment Law Today. I'm here every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. My guest again tonight was Vikram Rajan of videosocials.net. Thank you all for listening. Stay tuned for other great shows on Talk Radio NYC, and have a wonderful evening. Vic, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.